I'm Angus Hogg. I'm a new face here. I've been with Dry Tropics for about 2.5 years now. I've been working on the sediment reduction projects with sustainable grazing. I work with and under Rob, who was presented earlier today. Change the tone up a little bit. I'm not a scientist, I'm more of a project manager. I'm going to tell a story from the paddock about some of our actual on-ground works. So in partnership with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, we have 3 sediment projects. One is wrapping up this month, another one in December, one in May next year. Altogether, they've been running for the last 3 years across the Upper Burdekin and the Triple B. So I'm going to talk today about herding change through grassroots recovery, which is the program we have that covers the Upper and East Burdekin, which you can see there are the catchments along the top of our Burdekin region with the exclusion of the Black River catchment. The overarching goal of these on-ground projects working with our graziers is to encourage the uptake of improved grazing land management practices that graziers would otherwise be looking to undertake themselves in partnership with the grants that we provide. So a lot of the graziers in our region are already looking to undertake this journey themselves, and we're potentially just looking for a little bit of guidance or even a little bit of support, which we were able to come along and provide in partnership with our other stakeholders. The aim of this project at the end of the day was to deliver 49,060 tonnes of fine sediment reduction per year over a 3-year investment. And we did that by working with graziers to develop and deliver infrastructure projects aimed at changing their management. So on ground, you can see that we worked with 64 properties in our catchment, and as of this month, we have delivered all of our 74 on-ground projects now. We've signed them all off and they're all complete. And in that time, we've granted more than $1.5 million in incentives. And I just really want to highlight there that there's more than $3.1 million in grazier co-contribution. So in a lot of these projects, when we delivered them, they were either a 40-60 split or a 70-30 split, depending on the type of the project that they were involved in. And I think that demonstrates in the fact that the co-investment is doubled over the grants that we've paid. It really shows the investment that our graziers have in and their commitment towards improving their practices. We've implemented practice change over just over 515,000 hectares of land, just over 500,000 hectares. All of these properties are sort of on their journey to improve practice on the whole property, but for 3 of them in particular, they were keen to implement this change straight away and just jump straight into improving the entire property. And those 3 properties together represented 80,700 and change hectares in our catchment. Of the projects we delivered, 19 of them were riparian management projects. You can see that we've fenced off 92 kilometres of riparian frontage areas. There were 2 gully remediation projects. 8 projects were for specifically managing grazing land types. And then the remaining 45 were to improve condition upland grazing country. I've just cherry-picked a few stats there. There's an awful lot more infrastructure, a hell of a lot of pumps, solar pumps went in, but more than 392 Ks of new fencing, 174 new troughs, 88 new tanks of various sizes. We contracted a whole lot more work, but it'd take till the end of the day to go through all of the infrastructure that was installed. The infrastructure projects were just part of this. In the long term, the aim was to develop the engagement and develop the capacity for graziers to undertake and continue this work. And part of that was in delivering extension and events. So the projects were only part of it, developing property plans and creating infrastructure maps and all of the paperwork that goes along with that. And then over the 3 years, we've delivered more than 30 events and engaged with more than 350 graziers and more than 250 industry partners. We conducted more than 150 field visits. So every implemented project required 2 at a bare minimum, the initiation and the review process. And quite a lot of those projects involved visits along the way as well. That equates to more than 500 hours of one-on-one extension time with each of our field staff. We sponsored 17 community events in that time, things like the UN Races, the Charters Towers Show, the Rural and Remote Children's Association, lots of community-focused events, and there was a really good outcome for all of those events because we were able to maintain contact with our existing graziers and actually meet quite a few new ones that we hadn't worked with before. So the events we ran, we set out initially to develop grazing-related programs, and it sort of grew from there. And one of the ones that we hadn't really set out was doing rural and remote first aid, which we've sort of covered in the workplace health and safety topic there. But there was also farm mapping and infrastructure. I think some people in the room probably attended one of our maps and apps courses, or you might have heard of it. We undertook classes on herd nutrition, forage budgeting, genetics and breeding, business management and succession planning. Quite a lot of our events were really, really well attended, particularly the succession planning. Low stress stock handling was another one that was really popular. We ran more than nine maps and apps workshops in total, and just over 90 graziers attended them. So overall, we're progressing towards that original target I mentioned of 49,060 tonnes per year. We are really, really close to that now. We just have one more to sign off to hit that target. We've greatly increased graziers' understanding of how land management and catchment health affects reef water quality. So this photo in the top right here, two of the Lafleur brothers at Ames, we ran an event earlier this year called the Range to Reef Tour, where we took a selection of graziers from the Upper and East Burdekin catchment out to the Ames Research Facility, and they really got a feel for how the work that they are doing on ground actually relates to the work that goes into reef water quality. So for a lot of them, they're quite far removed, and it's not always at the forefront of their mind. So being able to assist in making that connection was a really positive outcome for that day. We helped to promote business efficiency and production outcomes while encouraging environmental stewardship across the Upper and East Burdekin. And as I mentioned, HGP 21 is part of a larger collection of projects funded by the GBRF, and combined they're working towards a total of 136,060 tonnes per year. That's across the Upper and East Burdekin and the Triple B catchments. The social benefits we measured with the P2R social survey, or the Perceptions of Practice survey. So again, cherry picking all the good results. 84% of P2R respondents were extremely or very confident in their ability to continue the practice change. Of course, that means that 16% were less confident, but that is quite a good outcome. And 81% of the respondents expected a large positive result from the practice change. And I didn't chuck the point in there as well, but nearly all of the respondents included that they were doing this work for environmental benefit in addition to the production benefits that come with it. And a couple of those quotes that are sitting up there at the moment are just from a few of our graziers around the catchment. You can have a read of them about what some thoughts from the paddock are. But yeah, overall, the project has been quite a good one. It's one of our success stories from on ground in how we're taking the information that's being developed in the scientific community and delivering it to graziers on ground, and then translating that into practical outcomes. Thank you.